Hi my lovely people, welcome back to another fabulous fragrance video. In this video I'm going to share with you some of my favorite sensual woody fragrances. Why sensual? Because I find woody fragrances very sensual, especially fragrances with sandalwood, which is one of my favorite woody notes. So if you want to hear all about the different woody notes and amazing woody fragrances that I love from my collection, just keep watching. So you guys, when I say sensual woody notes, there are so many woody notes. My personal favorite is sandalwood because it's so creamy. Sandalwood, I'll get into it a little bit more here in a second, but sandalwood is very sensual when it's in the base, especially of fragrances, gives it a very sensual, almost calming and just beautiful dry down to fragrances. And then there are other woody notes like cedar, Palo Santo, Guaiac. There's all sorts of woody notes. I don't want to get into all of it. Sometimes there are even exotic, like super exotic woody notes used, like ebony. It's probably synthetic because ebony is a very precious tree, you know what I mean? So probably that one is synthetically produced. But there's ebony, there's like all these like mahogany, and I've even seen oak, in the bases of fragrances. So you get a whole bunch of woody notes in fragrances. And the difficult thing about picking fragrances for this video was the fact that almost all the fragrances that I have in my collection, and most of the times fragrances do tend to have a woody note or two, at least one in the base, because it's it gives it a nice sensual base and gives it longevity. Woody notes like sandalwood can provide like a lasting power to fragrances. So it was difficult to pick fragrances for this video because essentially I would have had to include about 80% of my fragrances because they all have woody notes. But I just picked fragrances that I find are very woody, dominantly woody fragrances, and the woodiness in them made them amazing. So I have, I think, 7 fragrances here, which are my hand-picked top woody fragrances for me that I love. Of course, there are a ton of other woody fragrances. So let me get into sandalwood fragrances first because that's my favorite. Sandalwood is this very woody raw material. It's a very fragrant wood that comes from the tropics. It has this sort of milky, almost lactonic scent about it. There's something very sensual about sandalwood. So sometimes sandalwood can make fragrances smell kind of creamy, which is amazing. So I love a nice creamy dry down from sandalwood in fragrances. And sandalwood in woody notes in general used to be considered masculine fragrances, but not anymore. Sandalwood, for example, used to be used a lot, in masculine fragrances, mixed with amber or other kinds of fragrance notes in the base. But recently they have started using woody notes in general, but in particular sandalwood in feminine fragrances mixed with floral and fruity notes, so it still works amazing. And they realized, well, woody notes are really good mixed with these feminine leaning notes, and they smell amazing together. So you get a lot of feminine leaning fragrances nowadays with woody notes. For example, Guerlain by Guerlain, they have a beautiful sandalwood note in the base that really enhances that vanilla, and the lavender, all the beautiful other floral, like white floral notes and all that in that fragrance. See, I didn't include that in this video, although it's quite a woody fragrance, because I wanted to kind of highlight the very woody fragrances that is quite woody, but not as woody as these ones that I'm talking about, that still are amazing fragrances for women, and some of them are actually unisex, but I think they smell amazing on me. All right, let me get to them. So the first fragrance that comes to mind when I think about my favorite woody fragrances is this beauty right here. It's one of my latest additions to my collection. This is Fragrance du Bois Santal Complet. This one, you guys, is one of the most sensual, beautiful woody fragrances ever created. It's absolutely divine. I would use that term for it. This actually is perfect. By the way, I forgot to mention, woody fragrances are amazing for this time of the year. Actually, woody, you know, you get woody notes in basically all kinds of fragrances, you know, for winter, summer, spring, fall, all seasons. But woody notes, a strong woody note in particular, you know, fragrances with a strong woody note, perfect for colder weather. So right now, these are amazing. They tend to be cocooning, enveloping, and just, you know, that cozy, you know, gives that cozy vibe to fragrances. That's another thing I've noticed woody notes do. And this one right here is just that. This is the most sensual, cozy, cocooning, enveloping, beautiful fragrance. So this has that beautiful creamy sandalwood in the base with a massive dose of vanilla. There's musk that gives it that edge, you know, like musk always elevate fragrances so much. It gives it that sort of sexy edge to fragrances. And this has some amber. It has some powdery florals like violet, I believe. There is a little hint of coconut in the opening that adds to that lactonic vibes of the sandalwood in the base. Although there's coconut, no, don't think that this is a summertime fragrance, in my opinion. Yes, you can wear this in the summertime, but this is perfect and so cozy for this time of the year. Just because there's like a tropical note sometimes, like coconut, doesn't mean it's a summer fragrance, you know what I mean? Now this one is one of my favorite fragrances to wear this time of the year. It's absolutely beautiful. A Santal Complet by Fragrance du Bois. And then this is another one that's just like Santal Complet. This is also a beautiful kind of vanilla tonka beanie sandalwood fragrance. The dry down, it is absolutely divine, very sensual, very like, it's just like lasting too because of that, you know, that base with the sandalwood. Now this one, so good. This one is, I would say, I mean, both of these, they are unisex fragrances, but they smell amazing on me too. This one is in particular, I think, very much 50-50, I would say, you know, masculine, feminine, kind of right in the middle. This has some like very interesting notes. I know there's a little bit of cardamom. I can smell that little spicy, you know, cardamom spicy hint, which, by the way, perfectly complement like a sandalwood fragrance. This has a black tea note. I know there's a little bit of fig in here. There's the cistus flower, which is kind of similar to, what do you call it, labdanum. So it has that, you know, sort of like labdanum kind of feel to it. It's got, I think, iris in here too, so it's a little bit powdery. There's vetiver, there's Madagascar vanilla, there is a little bit of patchouli, loads of sandalwood, that very sensual sandalwood in the base. There's a little bit of cedar too, I think, mixed with sandalwood in the base, and there's loads and loads and loads of tonka bean in here with that vanilla absolute. Together it's a very vanilla-y base, you know, along with the sandalwood creaminess, the woodiness. This is such a cocooning, beautiful fragrance for this time of the year, especially. This is kind of like my rainy day fragrance, you know, my cold winter day fragrance. This is in particular great in the wintertime, in my opinion. This is the Extrait, by the way, I forgot to mention. This is Gris, Charnel, BDK Perfumes, Gris, Charnel, Extrait. So then I have a beautifully festive, in my opinion, a woody vanilla fragrance that I wore on Christmas Day last year. This one is Xerjoff Bouquet Ideale. This is a beautiful, beautiful kind of festive smelling fragrance because of the slight spiciness and the woodiness in here. There are some spices like cinnamon, nutmeg. There's a load of woody notes. There's like sandalwood. There's, I think, Guaiac wood. There's a little bit of a papyrus note in here that kind of adds an interesting twist to it. Papyrus tends to have that sort of slight leathery nuance to it, but then woody at the same time. So loads of woody notes. It's a very woody fragrance, and loads of you know, tonka bean, vanilla in the base. It's a woody vanilla, like I said. There's a little bit of labdanum, I think, like that kind of adds to that slight like leather vibe that this one's got going on. It's of course got loads of musk. It's a beautiful, very kind of festive fragrance. It reminds me of Christmas for some reason. Performance, by the way, I find all of these fragrances, I get whiffs of them as I'm wearing them, so they do last quite long. And I did hear that Santal Complet doesn't last too long on some people, but on me it lasted a long time. And you know, while it's not a beast mode perfume in projection, it's got a nice little scent bubble, you know. And like I said, I kept getting whiffs of it, and this one is a great 1-2 in terms of performance. Lasts quite nicely on me. A beautiful, sort of interesting, woody, slightly spicy vanilla festive fragrance for the holidays, Bouquet Ideale. Then I have this beautiful, very, very sort of sensual and kind of carnal, gorgeous woody vanilla fragrance. This is one of my favorite woody vanillas. This house I've been very impressed with lately. This one is Essential Parfum. This is Divine Vanille. This one, you guys, is a very beautiful, slightly spicy, woody vanilla as well. But there's something very interesting about this fragrance. It's got loads of vanilla. It has actually 3 types of vanilla. There's tonka bean, which is like a deeper vanilla scent, and then there's vanilla, and then there's benzoin. So it's got loads of vanilla going on, so it's a very vanilla-y fragrance. And then it has this like a little bit of cinnamon bark that adds this beautiful spiciness to it. So that's why it's a very interesting spicy woody vanilla. There's osmanthus in there, but it's very like well blended, hard to kind of, you know, say that it's there. You know, osmanthus tends to have a little bit of a leathery nuance, you know what I mean? So it's really quite nice. There's blonde tobacco in here, which I think is way better than a tobacco note. Blonde tobacco is quite different from tobacco, as we know in fragrances. Blonde tobacco is actually very like warm. It's a warm fragrance note, feels very warm. It's not like strong tobacco-y like the tobacco note that you get. Blonde tobacco is very warm and even a little bit floral, you know? So it's perfect for this kind of beautiful, soft, woody vanilla here. And this has got a little bit of dried fruits that adds a little hint of, you know, that sweetness very slightly, and gives it that like it really rounds it up. Beautiful fragrance. Really like this fragrance house. This one is a very popular vanilla. Quite a few people like diehard love this fragrance. By the way, I forgot to mention I have discount codes for some of these fragrances. Just check the description box, you guys. I have, I think, one for some of the other ones that I just mentioned as well. And here is one of my favorite fragrances. It's been with me. This is my second bottle. It's been with me for a long time. This one is Zadig&Voltaire's. This is her. This one is the most beautiful sandalwood, creamy sandalwood fragrance. It actually, other than the creaminess in the sandalwood, this also has lactonic notes, whipped cream, so it's very creamy, beautiful, sensual, and at the same time somehow sexy sandalwood fragrance, if you know what I mean. It's absolutely beautiful. This has got beautiful floral notes like jasmine. It has a beautiful like creamy whipped cream note with a load of vanilla. So together it's a very creamy vanilla fragrance. And then there's that sensual, creamy, woody sandalwood that really, so beautiful. I love this fragrance so much. There's chestnut, by the way. One thing about this fragrance that I absolutely love is the chestnut note. I feel like it just, I don't know how to describe it. Chestnut doesn't exactly smell like the other nutty notes, but this, it's perfect. It's that, you know what chestnut smells like, so it's perfect with that creamy, you know, sandalwood fragrance. I think chestnut was like a very smart fragrance note in here. This has, I think, cashmere wood too, but I'm sure there's musk in here as well. It's absolutely stunning. This one lingers for a long time. Very good sillage, very good performance, lasting power, 8 hours plus, I would say. It's usually on my clothes until I wash them. Beautiful fragrance, the Zadig&Voltaire. This is her if you like something really creamy, lactonic sandalwood fragrance. Here I have quite a sweet woody vanilla here, also spicy and sweet at the same time. This one is Sultan or Sultan by Royal Crown. This one, you guys, is this spicy vanilla with a lot of woodiness. Some people say, like, I've heard two different ways. Like, on my skin, it pulls the vanilla more with the woody. Yeah, I can smell it. But on other people, it really pulls woody strongly. So it can be a very strong woody fragrance on a lot of people. It's got loads of vanilla. Of course, there's dried fruit. There's dates in here. Not dried fruits, dates in here. That's so delicious in, you know, vanilla fragrances. I love dates or dried fruits in vanilla fragrances. This has got loads of fruity notes. There's not just sandalwood, there's cedar in here as well. So a lot of other woody notes. Although, you know, I only highlighted the sandalwood note in some of these fragrances. Most of them actually have other woody notes too. This has a little hint of labdanum, has that, you know, like leathery nuance. Floral notes like rose, jasmine. I believe there's a little bit of myrrh too down in the base. That with that sensual creamy sandalwood, myrrh has that sort of balsamic, you know, smoky vibes about it. This also has, I think, oud, a little bit of oud too. So loads of woody notes, like there's cedar, there's oud, there's sandalwood, and a slight hint of, I believe, saffron. But yeah, this one has some spice notes in here too that I didn't list, but I'm willing to bet there is a little bit of cinnamon in here. I can smell some other soft spices. So it's slightly spicy, very woody vanilla fragrance. Absolutely like this one. Now that one is very much a unisex fragrance, Sultan. So another great woody fragrance that no one is talking about, especially a great sandalwood fragrance, is by Heretic Perfumes. This is Scandalwood. This one is, you guys, a very beautiful woody fragrance. This actually has quite a bit of rose in here too. So it's kind of like a very floral, rosy sandalwood fragrance, I would say. This has Atlas Cedar, which is an amazing note, by the way, woody note that smells so amazing, mixed with that sensual sandalwood especially. This has a little bit of soft spice like coriander, I believe, and then loads of Bulgarian rose, which is what you smell, that like rose scent. So it's like a woody, it's a rosy woody fragrance for the most part. It has a little bit of labdanum. You know what labdanum does, it has that like slight leather nuance. Sandalwood, of course, loads of sandalwood and white musk, which makes it very sensual and sexy. This is a very naturally made fragrance. Heretic Perfumes is known for making fragrances with no parabens and phthalates and things like that, no synthetic dyes, formaldehyde. That's like the beautiful thing about Heretic Parfum. And, you know, Hermetica Paris too, very natural fragrance houses, which I really appreciate. And they still last, you know, it's like you don't need all that bad ingredients like for a fragrance to linger. This one has good performance. Again, no phthalates, no formaldehydes, no parabens, no artificial dyes. So it's a really good fragrance house. Scandalwood by Heretic Parfum. So you guys, those are it. Those are my beautiful, very sensual, just cozy, enveloping, woody fragrances for the colder months especially. I have loads of other woody fragrances. I mean, loads and loads of it with woody notes in the base that I can call woody, but I just wanted to pick the best woody fragrances that smell mostly woody but still actually are amazing fragrances for someone like me, for a woman to wear. Yeah, some of them are unisex, but you know, they are very sexy. So I wanted to give you some sensual, sexy, woody fragrances. So let me know down in the comment section what your favorite woody fragrances are. You know, what are your favorites, especially sandalwood fragrances? Chime down in the comment section. I really want to know what you guys are loving in terms of woody fragrances. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Of course, ring the notification bell next to it so you will never miss any of my uploads. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, where I post a lot of fun content. I will see you guys in my next video.